Well, ho, cortical stackers. I am DBJ, and I hope you've had time to re-sleeve. I wanted to do a video about something that I've recently seen. Um, on Netflix, there is a relatively new movie called ANON or ANON, short for Anonymous. Um, it is a movie of speculative fiction, um, directed by Andrew Nicole, and stars Amanda Seyfried or Amanda Seyfried or Seyfried and Clive Owen. And I wanted to this will be spoiler filled, not necessarily doing a movie review, but how to incorporate the elements of this movie into Eclipse phase role playing game, science fiction, and any kind of transhuman tabletop role playing scenarios. I thought it was very interesting. So I thought I'd try to take a movie and incorporate some of the themes and the elements in it into the game. So first, let's do a little bit of a short review. And like I said, using key elements of this movie, this might be spoiler filled. So turn the video off, go watch the movie on Netflix. You have it. Come back and see this video. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Now, I'm not specifically going to give all the spoilers away, but some of the elements I will. Okay, so what is Anon or Anon about? Well, as I said previously, anonymous, right? So in this world, there is a global, completely public, open to everyone, augmented reality. Every single individual, I'm assuming, yes, children as well, have augmented reality in their all in their senses. So their ears, their eyes, it's some kind of implant. They don't really go into what the implant looks like or how they get it. Doesn't matter. You're born, you have one. And wherever you walk, whatever you see, the things that you hear, the things you interact with, whether you pick up a sandwich or go to the store or pass people on the street, there's an overlay. So when you meet people, you instantly know their name, their age, their job, their likes and dislikes. And you get a bunch of these pop-ups. In eclipse phase, there's something known as a mist or fog or smoke, where you get so many pop-ups that you almost can't see the society around you. So everything is completely open. So when you meet people in the street, you automatically know their likes and dislikes. When people speak other languages, it's automatically translated as underneath what they're saying, so that you have this instant ticker underneath. So even if someone speaks another language, you instantly understand what they're saying. When you go past storefronts, all of the sales information appears in your optical nerve, colors and styles that are adjusted for you. If you see like jewelry in a storefront, you can actually just hold out your hand and digitally an image of that jewelry will appear on you. So the main character walks past, sees this really nice watch, puts his arm up, the watch appears around his wrist. He looks at it and is like, okay, that's nice, and keeps on going. There are custom coded billboards on all the buildings that you see. So when you look up, you look at the building and the walls and the streets, and there are these billboards. Some may just be broadcast just in general. Others may be modified. So you may have thousands of different types of billboards, each one specifically tailored to you. So what is the movie about? Well, the movie does have a plot. There's a detective, and there's this detective agency, and the detective agent, not agency, there are detectives, there are police. And the detectives have a very, very easy job, because when someone tries to commit a crime, or someone reports a crime, and reporting crime is easy. You just click in your head, you report a crime, call 911, and the police show up. But the police don't even have to show up. They can download and easily access all of the information from all of the witnesses that were there, from the sounds that neighbors hear to the visual, the optic information being input into the criminal, to the victims and everything. Now, when someone gets killed, the person gets killed and it just says end of file. But you can tell that this police department solves crimes in 5 minutes. Now, they do have the ability, it seems that the police have the ability to, they have codes to unlock particular files. And I'm presuming that's because there is some sort of privacy as far as like sleeping, going to the restrooms, um, and maybe there's some private time. But for the most part, everybody just has all of their information exposed to everyone. So even those people who, if have ever been a fan of Law and Order, people will lie, but not about the specific crime, but they'll lie about other things in their life. The detectives are able to go into that. So if someone feels guilty about breaking their diet, but they really don't want to talk about it in front of their spouse, or maybe they smoke, but their spouse is I promised I wasn't going to smoke again, but they're really smoking, in the parking lot at their job, and they want to lie about that. The detectives can go into it, but they really don't say anything about that because those are like, it's like nuisance privacy issues where it doesn't matter that much. But the specifics of this movie involve the girl. And there's a young lady walking around private information, whose information is completely private. So when you see her, it just says unknown. When you try to recall who she is and what she's about, you cannot remember her. It seems like her existence is being deleted out of people's auditory and visual stimuli. They their brains remember, but their eyes and ears do not recall her. And a lot of the information in this movie involves, the main police officer has memories of a child that died, and often in his downtime he goes back and replays those pleasurable moments with his child, and he replays those moments because they are literally recorded memories from his eyes where he was hanging with his child and everything. And at one point in the movie, those memories are deleted. Now, he still has memories of the moments with his child, but he doesn't have the actual auditory and visual stimuli that keeps him going. And it's almost as if a part of him is taken away because he still has the memories. Today, we still have our memories, but we don't have a perfect way to recall that information. So in the movie, there are murders. And every time this girl has interacted with someone, the girl leaves and the person is killed. And in the movie, the killer um, is able to hack not only the memories and not only the recorded information, but is in real time is able to alter what the person sees and hears in real time. So someone's running down the stairs, they can alter the length of the stairs, or maybe they shorten the stairs and then they trip and and fall to the bottom because they think they only see 10 feet of stairs, but it's actually 20 feet of stairs. Someone goes into is running down the hallway, and um there's an elevator, and the enemy goes into the elevator, and so they go hit the elevator button and they look and they see the elevator sitting there, and then when they go to stick their foot out, the elevator's missing and they can fall down into the elevator shaft. So there's a hacker who can actually hack brains, and you can't trust what you see. The problem is that the main character is being accused of a crime, murder, and other things, and he's like, no, it's being hacked, it's being modified. And of course everyone believes in this system. They're like, well, the information we have is that you shot this person and killed him. You're guilty. We Our information is here. This is what we see out of your eyes. You shot this person and killed him. We looked into their eyes. They see you shooting them. You're guilty. And he's like, no, 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 no. It's been set up. So, okay. So I rambled on about what the movie is about in the general themes and issues in the movie, but how do we incorporate this into our sci-fi eclipse phase uh, transhuman RPGs? Well, watch the movie and you'll get a great image of what the setting would look and feel like. For example, there's tons of people who are just in offices and walking the streets who seem to be in a fog. They're just looking off into the distance. And the buildings, there's like no computers, everything's gray. It's kind of lifeless and listless because all of the color and all of the things you interact with are in your are directly input into your senses. And so you don't need a computer when all you have to do is just think about recording something. You don't need a computer when your augmented reality is giving you suggestions. So if you're driving a car, it'll say, um, pause here, wait for the traffic um to filter by. Okay, it is safe to travel. Please make a right turn, and all these things. Well, then you don't need a dashboard on your car. And so therefore, when you are cut off from this augmented reality, all the buildings are plain. There are no street signs. There's no computers. People are just wearing very drab black and gray clothing. There's no music. People don't talk to each other. Even in the police station, they're just sitting at these gray slabs of stone hanging around, and they're all kind of like staring at a central point, but they're not saying anything to each other because they're able to do so somewhat telepathically using their altered augmented reality to communicate with each other, send each other codes and messages and files and all those kind of things. Okay, so that's the look and that's the appearance of it. But how do we use it in a game? So one thing, especially with this movie, is murder investigation. Someone is killed, someone is murdering people like a serial killer, but you can't find out who it is. Every time someone looks around um, and looks at the killer, even the killer themselves is hiding their existence because they are murdering people by having the murdered individual's optic readout read what the killer is seeing. So the last image of the person being murdered is of themselves looking at themselves with a gun in their forehead and being shot right in between the eyes. Pretty nasty. So you can have a serial killer or killers, and they're able to delete their existence from each other. The other thing you can add into a game, maybe to ramp up some tension, is to have this idea where yes, people commit crimes. They're easy to find out, but you still have to find the person and track them down. So, for example, a rare diamond is stolen from a museum, or a file for a deadly virus is stolen from a lab. Okay, so the person steals it, they run. Player characters get there, they find the files, they get access to other people's streams into their augmented reality. Boom, they know who stole it. Okay, now the chase is on. So now they have to, maybe the person is 30 miles away and they're getting in a car and a taxi and they want to get in a plane or hover bikes or whatever. And so now the player characters have to navigate the city both physically. So they have to dodge around traffic and people and crowds and get into a car and chase down the street, while at the same time in their augmented reality, they are now trying to follow the other individuals. So their attention is split. So now they're following them through street lights and trying to follow them through crowds. And the person is trying to book passage onto a boat or get on a plane, or maybe they carjack someone, and then that person is hacking the hover cycle, and so now the player characters have to catch up to this person, but their attention is split because now they might get in an accident because they have all of these overlays into their optical stream. Anyway, you get it. So you can add some difficulties into some skill checks, at use those minus 10 to minus 30 percentages, using eclipse phase or whatever game system that you're using, whether you're using a hack. It could be GURPS or Harbinger or Nova Praxis, Traveler, any of these sci-fi games. You can use that. All right, so what else about augmented reality? Well, augmented reality, you may not be able to trust what you see and hear and feel. So imagine in Eclipse phase, the player characters are downloaded to Luna, where there's a lot of racist animosity against the clanking masses. Okay, so more broadly, the moon, and on the moon, society does not like artificial beings, um, robots, androids, those kind of things. But the player characters are agents. They need to download themselves to Luna, get to a high-ranking official, maybe steal the cortical stack of the high-ranking official, and then get it back to the outer rim or something like that. So the player characters download. The easiest way is to download, or maybe the only way for them to download, or maybe they are shunted over, download into artificial bodies or pods or synths, robot bodies, clanking masses. Well, they get there, and then they find out that their AR, their augmented reality, is modified because the rich don't want you looking or seeing or finding out where they live. They're engaged in some nasty things, and you're just the hired help. So now the player characters are like for example, they can delete a doorway for you to get to a sensitive area, or maybe the rich people can easily delete or edit out their sound, so when they're talking to each other, they can just look at you and mute you as a servant, as a robot, and then they continue their conversation. Or they can even completely delete themselves out of your augmented reality. So you're cleaning the house, but they're walking around. You just can't see them. Or maybe you're cleaning the first two floors of their towering moon residence, but the upper five floors you cannot find the doorway or the lift, or you cannot even touch the button to the lift to get to the upper five floors. So you only see two buttons on the elevator, but there's really more. Also, there could be an enemy that has a viral, a very powerful virus that can download into the player characters and alter their perception. So when they're running or jumping or driving or shooting, images flash in front of them. Maybe dark memories of when they escaped Earth, or a crime they committed, or maybe they have fears of snakes, fears of falling, fears of enclosed spaces, fear of fire, fear of suffocating, things like that. Okay, fear of being naked in public spaces and giving a speech. Those kind of things. A ton of stuff. See the movie. It's un- unfortunately Andrew Nichol. What is his name again? Um, Unfortunately, Andrew Nicole or Nicole or Nickel. Um, he has grand, great concepts. One of his best movies to me is Gattaca. Gattaca, Out of Time. Wow. A ton of other movies, right? Just take a look, Google his name, right? As a director, and has written some really great concept pieces. But I think he fails a little bit in getting the emotional connection you need to get to dive into the story to care about the people and the things that are happening in it. And I find that this movie is that way. I say that because The movie has grand, huge concepts about using and modifying and how a trusted system of augmented reality can be used in a game. Um, well, it used period, and then you using it in your games, but you lose a little bit of the context because as this serial killer unfolds and you try to figure out whether it's this femme fatale of Amanda Seyfried's character, the girl, or you know whether there's someone else involved, whether the detective is involved, Clive Owen, and you lose a little bit of the sight. So the movie's concepts are great and grand and big and awesome. The acting in it is lackluster, and you lose a little bit of the connection. So I'm gonna have to give the movie. I'm giving it a 7 because of its high concept. Acting wise, I'm giving it like a 5.5. High concept, I give it like a 7.5. I'll meet in the middle, maybe give it a 6, 6.5, maybe closer to a 7 just because of the high concept of it. So anyway, the using augmented reality in your sci-fi games, in Eclipse phase, in your transhuman settings is a great tool. I suggest watch this movie, put it on, get something to eat, sit down. If you have to digest it over a couple of days, sure, it's a little bit dry. It reminds me of it's like a techno futurism or retro futurism. I mean, so you have this. The closest thing I can think of is Gotham, where you have like older cars, but they're electric powered. A lot of like Reservoir Dogs, where you have like dark suits, white shirts, black string ties, so derbies. So you're going to get a lot of that in the movie, but great high concept. Take a look at it. The movie is Anon. Um, Again, this was spoiler filled. I am DBJ, Dave Brian Jackson. I am a contributing writer to Critical Hit Publishing. I primarily write for fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons. My series is called Cinematic Environs, where I consider myself to be the self-appointed third pillarist. So I write those books to explore the third pillar of exploration using the environment. So check those out at Drive Through RPG. Just look up my name or Critical Hit Publishing or Cinematic Environs. Also, you can join myself and my colleagues, Captain Gothnog and the Swamper, over at Critical Hit Publishing on Facebook. All the links will be below in the video. And I am an avid member and supporter of the Absolute Tabletop Gang. 4 guys, a fistful of dice, how to be a better game master, and tabletop terrors. So check them out as well. I'm DBJ. Thank you for your attention. And this is another video for Eclipse Phase Friday.